Beautiful. All right, good. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. It is 7 o'clock, and our inspiration this morning will be led by Margot Subitner. Margot, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. A little pithy saying for this morning. There are good ships and there are wood ships, and there are ships that sail the sea. But the best ships are friendships. May they always be. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you, Margot. Well, welcome to the meeting. I see we have a couple of guests. We'd like to welcome back Marshall. Marshall, good morning. Welcome back.
Yeah, good morning. And I will be the first member of our club. Oh, 2022.
Well, we welcome and thank you for joining us again. And also we have a guest. It's Lex. Lex, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Lex. Nice to meet everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Now, I would like to turn things over to our Toastmaster of the day, Steve Smith. Steve, take it away.
Okay. Make sure I unmute myself here so I don't look like an idiot. So I guess we're all set here. That ought to drive the somebody nuts is trying to take care of this. Good morning. You know how all technically sound I am here, so I'll do the best I can with this. I chose for the theme today, New Year's resolutions, because it seemed timely. Seems how we just went by a new year, we wrecked 2023. Now we have a whole new year to mess up. But I think we should get right into it. I'm not sure what's going on today. And I know Katie asked for some meeting time to discuss, I believe, I'm not sure what. I'll let her do that when we get to that. Let's start off with our Wagmaster, Sylvia Baptiste. Are you out there? What?
I am out here. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year's. The word today, well, first of all, I have 3 roles today, so let's see if I could do them correctly. One is grammarian. I'll be listening for the English language slangs, whatever we say here, which is a lot. And as, ums, pregnant pauses. The word of the day I put in chat, let's see if I pronounce it correctly, acidulous. Marked by care, attention, persistent effort. Please use the word of today. And if you use that in describing someone, it is a compliment to them. And I'll be keeping track of who uses that, and please use it in table topics.
Okay. Thank you. Assiduous. I'm okay. Let's see. Our quote master today is Kate Orr. Do you have a quote for us?
Good morning, everybody. Our newest members, Mary and Marshall, and Lex, our guest. Mary's there, I hear, at Eric's apartment. So we do have her on Zoom. She doesn't love it, but her dad dropped her off on the way to the gym this morning. And so she's doing it and learning it better. We're excited to see everybody this new year. I'm a very unprepared president, and I don't have a quote. I have everything to share about the contest and about the party and all these other things coming up. And don't we always have to have a quote? I guess one of my favorites is Eleanor Roosevelt, who says something along the lines of, do what you feel is in your heart because you will be criticized anyway. So do what you feel is in your heart. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. How much time are you going to want for what you want to do there, Katie?
probably just 3 minutes or so. Folks, we're going to be talking about our anniversary party up in April. Really secure that date, vote on it, and that'll be towards the end of the meeting. And reiterate that our contest is January 18th, 2 weeks from today. And Nancy has taken on contest master, and I'll be the chief judge. But I'll rehash that at the end. Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Okay, deal. How would you like to do that after table topics and before we get to our speakers? Does that work?
Sure thing, right in the middle. Thank you.
Okay. Make a note of that. And thank you for the quote. We have a jester today, Mark Campus. Do you have something funny to tell us? Is he out there? Ah, there he is.
I am out here, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. Good morning. I have a few dad jokes about New Year's resolutions, so I apologize in advance. My New Year's resolution is to be more optimistic by keeping my cup half full with either rum, vodka, or whiskey. My wife still hasn't told me what my real New Year's resolutions are. A New Year's resolution is something that goes in one year and out the other. My New Year's resolution is 1080p, and my New Year's resolution is going well. I've given up chocolate, not even thinking about it. It's not even in my vocabulary. Cadbury. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Our quizmaster today is Carol Ann Halstead. Are you out there? Tell us of your duties.
Yes, I'm here,
Ah.
and what I'll be doing is checking your listening skills at the end of the meeting and having some questions for you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you. Now our timer today is Eric. You want to tell us about what you're going to do, Eric? I know you're out there. I heard you.
I haven't left the building yet,
Thank you.
virtually. Yes, again, good morning, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. Timing is very important in our meetings. And we'll have our timing for table topics, 1.5 to 2 minutes with a 15-second buffer. Our speeches normally is 5 to 7 minutes. I know that a couple of people email me about time parameters for their speeches, so I will make sure I do the appropriate timing. And our evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes with a 15-second buffer. So I'll have the timing lights in the background and when I hear the speeches. So thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. I do have a little bit of housekeeping to do here. Now, follow me. Nancy Ferry asked to go first. So what I'd like to do, if no one has a problem with that, I'll put her first, then Gerald will be second, and Marty will be third, keeping your same evaluators as you had. I'm not going to swap that up. So when we get to that, someone's got to probably speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm sorry, Steve. Could you run through that order again, please?
Nancy Ferry wants to speak first. So I'll put her in first. Gerald Stevens, who was first, will become second. Marty, who was second, will become third.
Okay, thank you. And the evaluators stay the same.
The original evaluators will stay with the speakers.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's the easiest way to straighten that out. I have one other bid here, but I'll get to that in a second. But Joe Budnick was unavailable today, so I'm going to have Jill do table topics when we get to it. I'll introduce her shortly. And there's been some change up in speech time, so I'm kind of, and I just saw this morning, and you're lucky I saw it because I'm not a computer person. I'm lucky I saw those emails. But I think we got this on track here. Now, I never thought much about New Year's resolutions. As has been stated, you make them and then you promptly ignore them. And I said, okay, I can make a resolution to quit drinking. I can make a resolution to lose weight. I can make a resolution to exercise more. And my fourth resolution would be to quit lying, which means you can forget the first three. I know other people have differing views on New Year's resolutions, and I hope to get, as you come up to speak, tell us if you've made any New Year's resolutions, or if you, like me, just decided it's much ado about nothing. Now, with that, I will introduce Jill Roaring to run table topics for us this morning. Jill, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Well, you're up.
I'm up. Okay. Well, everybody, remember to use the word assiduous in your table topic quizzing. I have a list of a few people I see are available and a couple more that had minor roles. As to resolutions, I don't think I've ever made them because I never thought that I would keep them. And I've never been that much of a self-help person, really. So I didn't do it. I am going to choose Phil Russell.
Ooh.
I see he's out there and he does not have a job today. Phil, if you have ever made a resolution that you really regret making or breaking, tell us about it.
I'm pretty assiduous. I like to do the details and things like that, but I don't make resolutions. I know I'm going to break it right away. I'm not going to stick to that sense. I have my schedule, I put it together, and I try to keep to that because these resolutions, it's a good thing to think about. It's good for television. It's good for people that really think they want to do it. I know Dave Licata makes up tons of resolutions, but he says, I never start on the first of the year. I waited for a few days. I want to hear eventually from Dave how long he can keep his resolutions, because I know Dave makes them. I saw him yesterday. We were at bowling. We had 10 people show up for bowling. I haven't been there. And I came from a meeting, and then I had to do work on my computer at the office, and then get there, and there's 10 people. But there's only 3 bowlers and 7 kibitzers, which is a great thing because the people that are sitting around, they don't pay any attention to the bowling at all. So they're not really anything other than kibitzers. 2 of them were counting change. That one was hilarious. Bowling, you look up, you don't even know who's on first or what's on second, but it was fun. And we had a great time just seeing each other. And once a week we get together. To me, it's more for socialization, so that you can see some of your old friends, talk to them, have a good time. You reminisce about some stupid things that you've done in your life. You watch 2 knuckleheads playing with their coins, finding bus tokens from Buffalo and bus tokens from Lockport, and saying, "Oh, those are coins." They are. Try and use them on the bus today. But it was a lot of fun. So as far as resolutions go, I changed that subject because I stay away from them. I know I'm not going to keep them. I'm going to try and go through and do what I try to do. That's about it. Madam Toastmaster or Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Phil. I had a feeling some people would change the direction because I'm not very good at resolutions myself, as I said. So since Phil told us how Dave Licata makes resolutions, and he's free, Dave, are you available? Are you there?
I believe I'm there.
Oh, okay. It sounds like it.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Well, this morning I could not find my tripod, so I'm holding the phone in my hand. So I don't know if you can see me because I have a new phone that's giving me trouble. But in Phil's assiduous manner, what he forgot was we did have a member named Tom Serdell. And Tom Serdell was a very wise man. He would give us great idea and great feedback. Where'd I go? Oh, well. And Tom Serdell said, you do not try to enforce your New Year's resolution on January 1st. You try to get started on the first business Monday, which is next Monday. So you got plenty of time to sort yourself out. Don't beat yourself up if you've already broken your resolutions, because you're going to start on the first business Monday, which is next week. We had, like Phil said, we had 10 people, but age is taking its toll. So myself and 2 other gentlemen are able to bowl, and the other ones are full of excuses. So we have 7 in the audience and 3 gentlemen bowling. Phil is making light of it, but our one fella set a personal best at 227, I believe. So I was rooting for him. But getting back to resolutions, it's the same thing with me every year, and it just takes me longer, and I'd love to find myself on the background. But anyways, I'm that third guy pushing the mule. So anyways, they got underway. And just worry about next Monday. Don't worry about what's happened, because Monday was a holiday. Nobody could do a resolution on a holiday, but we got our first business Monday coming up. Thank you so much, Madam Table Topics.
Thank you, Dave. Does that mean that resolutions are only necessary Monday through Friday on business days?
No, that's when you start. That's when you fire
No.
the gun.
Darn.
The starting pistol.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's too bad. I'm sure a lot of people would keep them better if they didn't have to worry about them on the weekends. All right. I see Mike Licata is present today too. Is Mike available?
Good morning, Madam Table Topics Master.
Good morning, Mike. Mike, do you do any resolutions? And have you done well keeping them in the past, if you do?
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and our guests once again. I do not do New Year's resolutions. I am not an assiduous person for that personality. And it usually, unfortunately, takes an incident for me to learn anything. So the last couple of things I've learned these last couple of months is just to slow down a little bit and make sure that I do everything right and everything works right, so a major traumatic event doesn't happen again. So I do think that New Year's resolutions are good. I I don't really keep them, because when I've tried in the past, I found very quickly that they don't work. And because of that, I try not to keep them. I also try to dissect things and take things a little bit slower and a little bit easier by going week to week and month to month, and hopefully it creates a snowball effect when it comes to trying to change my diet every year. If I do a little bit more exercise, if I spend a little bit more time outside, or if I try to start a new hobby as part of my New Year's resolutions. I think it's also especially hard in January in the Northeast to try to do New Year's resolutions, because the weather is rarely cooperated. That's another thing that makes it difficult, or it can be construed as an excuse. But I look forward to the new year. I look forward to new challenges, and I just also really look forward to learning from my experiences and just learning to slow down and make sure that I take one step at a time and make sure that everything is working okay. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Mike. I'm glad everybody was willing to answer for me today. It's kind of interesting what I just saw because I get a poll thing from Microsoft every day. By answering it allows me to every so often get a $10 Amazon gift card. And they had a very unscientific poll a couple weeks ago to the effect of, do you make New Year's resolutions? Or maybe it was just a week ago. And it was only about 30% that did. So that was kind of interesting. So with that, I will send it back to our Toastmaster, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Ms. Roaring. Now, can we get a timers report on our table topics speakers?
Yes, you can. Thank you, Steve. All of our table topics contestants make time today. Phil came in at 2:06. Dave Licata came in at 1:52, and Mike Licata came in at 2:03, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Can I get a Wordmaster's report?
Yes, you can. But I want to say, after listening to everyone today, I think we should file a New York State budget fiscal year as our New Year's resolution. Start April 1st. And if it doesn't pass at April 1st, we don't start until it does pass. That will be our New Year's resolution time. And Western New York, you could do more in the spring, summer outside, like Mike said. So I really like that idea. As of this morning, everyone used a word. Phil used it twice. I think I heard him twice, and David once, Mike once. And that is it for this morning.
Okay, so that means all three of our contestants qualified. So there it is. The ballot is up there. You can vote for your favorite table topics, which I will do. Get that out of my face. Now, at this point, I'm going to give the floor to Katie to talk to us about a few things. Katie.
Thank you again, Mr. Toastmaster. I will be assiduously tackling the presidency this year. For our guests, I'm the president, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Right now, we're talking about our contest season and a business vote we'll be doing briefly. I put into the chat for anyone who has not been on the chat yet. If you have a device that you can also look at the chat, which at the bottom of our regular faces, there's a little speaking bubble. Click on that. If you're on a laptop, there's other alternatives if you're on a different device. By the way, Dave, we can see your black and white photo behind you there of the Erie Canal. So for our guests, the Erie Canal runs right through our city of Lockport, New York. This is the AM Lockport Club. Okay, 2 weeks from today is the club contest. Last week, I started signups at the meeting in person, and I put in the chat that the roles filled are, like I said earlier, quickly. Nancy is our contest master on the day of. I will be the chief judge coordinating the rest of the day. So far, we have our 2 timers, our 2 ballot counters, and Gerald stepped up to compete in the international portion. We have 2 contests, the international and the evaluation. So we do need more contestants for both international and evaluations, and a target speaker who gives a speech, any kind of speech that the evaluation contestants then participate and evaluate as part of the contest. And we need judges. Please let me know if you have questions. Our guests can attend as guests. Our newest members, Marshall and Mary, don't yet qualify for speaking portion of the contest, but you can reach me if you have questions. It's all going to be in person at the next round. So the challenge is doing it on a hybrid once we're back, hybrid next week and on, but most of the roles will be in person so we can prepare for the next level in person. And again, save the date. February 3rd is the next level, the area contest. So that's my contest blurb announcement. Moving on, we're looking at our 40th club anniversary. We were chartered by some of the members here on April 1st, 1984. Our 40th anniversary party we're looking to have in April. We, the co-chairs of this party committee are Jill and myself, and the committee so far includes Marty, Eric, and Mary. Anyone else, please let us know. We are looking to settle the location and let you know about the pricing. And that Erie Canal picture that David chose is appropriate also because the Canal Side restaurant where those boat tours are done is where we're looking. And we need to vote because any expenses traditionally in our club over $100 we tend to vote on, and to hold a date we need to pay $200, which is then deducted from the total of each dinner price as we go. So I calculated all the dinner price for that evening, since it is something special and every 5 years we do a dinner. Prices have gone up a bit, but we're looking at including the dinner and tax and gratuity, $48 per person, includes coffee, tea, dessert, and a really nice choice that the committee can decide of 3 meats, salad, sides, pasta station with 2 sauces. It would be a cash bar. And the we need at least 30 people. We're thinking 6 p.m. start, 7 p.m. dinner on April 6th. That has some wiggle room, but right now that's what we're really locking into. So the $200 deposit would be to hold that date. It just FYI, it's 2 days before the Monday. April 8th is the eclipse, that big eclipse that's passing by us. So just heads up on the weekend if you were going away to see the eclipse or had plans, come in town to see the eclipse. Our guests, wherever you are, and members who live out of state, come on out and you'll see the total eclipse in our area 2 days later. We'll have thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are coming, I hear, for the path of totality that I'm sure Steve, our in-house astronomer, can tell us more about eventually. Anyway, I would like someone to hopefully make a motion for, we'll do this Robert's Rules of Order style. We make a motion, make a second, quick opening for any discussion, and then vote, and then we move it back to our Toastmasters speeches for today. So I'm looking for the motion to make the $200 deposit out of our funds, which then gets deducted from the total. So no expenditure from our bank account, and there's no venue fee. It's just the dinner is included. So if someone could make a motion to pay that $200.
I make a motion.
I heard Margot, and then Eric, can you make the second?
Second.
Was not me.
I thought it was Margot. Sorry.
It was your mother.
Oh, sorry. I heard it. Mike, did you also say? Mike Florio?
Second. I'll make the motion if you want, but it's already been made. I'll second the motion.
Okay, we'll say that Eric made the motion because I heard him also. Mom's the treasurer, so we'll keep Beth and Mom and me out of it. It's
And
not
Gerald, I
really
think I
big
heard
deal.
Gerald too. So.
And then Mike is the second. Any questions? You can raise your hand or show the little raise hand reaction if we do have any questions, or join our committee. We'd love to have you on the committee. All guests are welcome to this, like we've done in the past. Family members, guests. Ticket price will be the same for everybody. That $48 sounds really fun. I'm excited. We can't wait.
Gerald has a question. Kate.
Thank you, Gerald.
I don't know if you mentioned it. I could have missed it. Did you say the date yet or no?
April 6th is what we're looking at. Saturday evening, April 6th. Our anniversary date is April 1st. Any other questions? Steve Smith.
How much do we have in the treasury right now? I'm assuming we have enough to cover this.
We do. We have I think a couple thousand right now.
Oh.
Yes, 2851.
2851. And Mom has some of the split club money, so we can take care of that this week. And so our 2 big treasury things to deal with, to handle, are excitingly Marshall's membership. We've never had a Chinese payment, so we're going to work on that through TI, and then our membership, pass that back to this deposit. So Mom, for anyone who doesn't know, Beth is my mother, and she's the treasurer right now, so we'll figure that out But
Could we
she's at the
use-
last year of her 2-year stint. So anybody interested in being the next treasurer, be thinking about it, because in a couple of months we'll be going through that. Anyway, any other
I
questions?
can only be treasurer 2 years, huh?
Well,
It took her a year to
Not
get used to it.
necessarily. You can continue on if desired.
What I'm hearing is you want to do it for another 2 years. Well, don't tell anybody that because maybe you'll be able
Kate,
to retire.
Kate, I was still asleep. What's the venue again?
The canal side where those boat
Oh,
tours are. They do weddings, dinners. There will be a
Lockport Canal
cash
side
bar.
on Market
It's
Street.
nice on Market
Yeah, on
Street
Market
there.
Street, right,
Yep.
Glenn.
That Marty's suggestion, I love it. I didn't even remember it was there. Silly me. I've been to a couple of weddings there, and we won't be on the boat in April. Hopefully it won't still be snowing, but it will be indoors. Yes, thank you. Lockport Locks and Erie Canal Cruises is the official name. All right.
Can I ask, could we do the deposit out of the funds that we have, and then that would reduce the amount everyone would pay?
It's that. Oh, that's a whole separate question. Well,
Right.
in the interest of time, let's keep the vote and lock the date in, and at our next officers meeting, discuss that. And if anybody would like to join the committee, I hope everyone understood her question, that the club would cover the deposit, bringing down each ticket price, whatever that is. There's potential for that, but I would rather just get it locked in and then pursue it with the
okay.
committee and the executive officers. Good question. We hadn't even thought of that. Okay. Can I basically I'll say all in favor, you'll say aye, I'll say, and so on. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay. Sounds like unanimously passed. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Back to you.
Thank you. That sounds like it'll be a fun time. So I had an interesting incident. Ran into a guy I knew the other day. He said his New Year's resolution was to lose 10 pounds a week for 26 weeks. I do a little quick math. Wow, 260 pounds. That's amazing. You think you can keep that up? Why? And also, why are you stuffing your face right now? He said, are you kidding? I only weigh 220 pounds. Okay. Moving on to our speaking program. Nancy Perry has asked to go first, and she is being evaluated by David Jones. So can you tell us something of what she's doing, David?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. First, I don't set New Year's resolutions. I just set goals throughout the year. I have a friend, and we get together at a nice hotel and have champagne, and we set goals once a year, but it's at random times. So that's what I like to do. This morning, Nancy is going to be giving a speech from 5 to 7 minutes, and it is a non-manual speech entitled Get Your Wheels On, and it's my hope that I will give an assiduous evaluation to Nancy. So Nancy Ferry, get your wheels on.
Thank you, Mr. Evaluator. First of all, I would like to say I asked for 7 to 10 minutes, and I didn't change it on the website.
I got it, Nancy. You're
Great.
good.
Thank you, Eric. I knew you were on top of things. Okay, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I would like to introduce Lex, a very courageous, outspoken, assiduous, and radical woman who happens to live her life in a wheelchair. And she also happens to be my daughter. I will interview Lex today about something that is very near and dear to her heart, awareness of accessibility. Lex, 33 and a half years ago, the National American Disabilities Act was signed into law. This landmark federal legislation prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities in all aspects of public life. So why do we still need to be talking about this? It's a law.
Thanks so much for inviting me today. Yes, laws have been placed since July 26, 1990, when George Bush was signed in when George Bush signed the bill. When new buildings are built, all accessibility codes are to be followed. Not every building is a new construction, and not everyone who owns and runs businesses know the laws. There are exceptions to these laws when it comes to historic buildings. Trust me, obstacles exist everywhere.
So Lex, how can we understand some of these obstacles?
Well, let me invite you to put your wheels on and this morning and scoot around Buffalo with me. Accessibilities is more than building access. It includes parking signage, accessible routes, dining surfaces, surface counters, and bathroom facilities, and awareness.
Well, let's begin with parking and awareness.
Great place to start. My doctor refuses to give a handicap accessible parking pass because I don't drive. So let's go somewhere in a car with my mother or friend. It's complicated. Imagine navigating that one on our adventure today.
Well, I have navigated those adventures, and it's definitely not safe or convenient for you or me to try to maneuver through a busy parking lot. Even parking on the street can be complicated. I remember a time we went to a restaurant on Main Street, and there was snow piled up on the sidewalk. We managed to get up the little ramp, but can you tell a little bit about that adventure?
Well, once getting on the ramp and getting into the restaurant, we first had to battle the traffic to get in. And then once we got in, we had to move the tables because I can't just fit in. Then the chairs, and there's one table I could sit at. And I have to sit sideways because the table's too low. Bathroom is well, it's supposed to be accessible, but I can go in, I can't shut the door, I can't turn around. So that's not really what I would call accessible. That's pretty much it with that restaurant.
Yeah, I do remember that. We had to move tables all around. They had the little portable tables, the little square tables in the middle of the room, and we had to scoot them all over to the side, and that must have been embarrassing. I remember taking you, speaking of accessible ramps, I remember taking you to a doctor's appointment once, and I believe it was a neurologist. What happened that day?
Well, they have two doors. One, they both have buttons. One button worked, the other one was blocked with a Christmas tree.
So they put a Christmas tree in front of the push button to get in the accessible ramp?
Yes, they did.
It was a beautiful ramp, as I remember. However, when I pushed the button for you and the door opened, you had to back down the ramp halfway and then scoot as fast as you could to get into the building before the door closed on you.
Yep.
I know that you use public transportation, and I live way out here in Lockport. We have very little public transportation. So when you go on public transportation, doesn't that just make life a whole lot easier?
Depends on the time where I'm going. If the bus can't get a curb because there's a car parked, the ramp is pretty much up and down, and it's very tricky if you can even get on the bus. And then sometimes if the bus is filled, they just drive right by you. And there's only 2 spots for wheelchairs. And a lot of times,
I remember you saying that there's certain times of the day too that are complicated because of the bus being crowded.
yeah, when the kids get off of school, when the buses are full, a lot of times there's no room to fit in the bus.
So they're not always as accommodating as they could be. You have a friend, you have a really good friend that lives out of town, and I know that buses go down there. Can you tell me, like Greyhound buses, not the city buses?
Well, they go down. However, the new buses are supposed to be more accessible, you would think. But the new buses, the ramps are so narrow that a power wheelchair cannot fit on the ramp. So therefore, I can't get in the bus and I can't visit my best friend.
So you could take, what is it called? PayPal or no, not PayPal. PAL. Yeah, what's that one? Tell us about that one.
That goes in the city limits. It does go to the suburbs, but only during bus times. So it doesn't go to the suburbs in the weekends. And you have to plan a half-hour time frame for pickup. So the other day I was at an appointment and ended up having to go home before my doctor actually called me. So I waited over 2 hours and still wasn't seen because I would have been stuck in Cheektowaga.
And once you've scheduled it, you can't just call and say, oh, give me another hour, huh?
Nope, I tried that.
They don't do that.
No.
They have a lot of people that need the transportation and they have a set schedule, but it doesn't make it very easy to get around. Let's scoot across the street. Crossing the street, there's crosswalks, there's those little push buttons, there's little lights telling you when to cross and when not to cross. And I know you've explained to me some of the complications of that. It's not quite so easy. And the timer on them is complicated. Can you tell us maybe some experiences crossing the street?
Well, sometimes the ramps will have, there'll be ramps, but there'll be a curb on the end of the ramp. Or there will be a pothole on the bottom of the ramp and I can't get through because I would get stuck. Or there's snow on the bottom of the ramp and I can't get through. Or my chair goes 7 miles an hour and the timer is fast enough that a 7 mile an hour, which is faster than the average person walks, still doesn't make it in time.
You mentioned potholes. I know you've gotten stuck in potholes. Those wheelchairs weigh between what, 250 and 300 pounds, or 350. I think it's about 250 to 350, depending on how many accessories and what kind of needs you have with the wheelchair. So what happens if you get stuck in a big pothole? And we certainly know that upstate New York is full of potholes.
Well, you have to start praying because you have to hope that someone's going to stop or a couple of people are going to stop and push you out. If not, you have to call the fire department, and that's really embarrassing.
How many times has that happened to you?
More times than I can count, getting stuck in potholes. One time was in the middle of the street.
Mm. So you really are putting your life at risk when you cross the street sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's scoot down. Excuse me. Let's scoot down Elm Street, avoiding any potholes, and stop in that little pet store. I'd like to buy your dog a new harness.
I love this pet store. It's not wheelchair accessible, but the people in the store are so friendly. I'll call them on my phone and they will come out. And if I say I want a harness, they'll come out and say what type of dog, what size, and then they'll bring out a few harnesses for me to pick.
How would it be different if you could just go in and browse around?
I would obviously buy more if I can get in the store and see what they have instead of just guessing.
Now, how about grocery shopping? They have those carts with the basket on the front. What's the obstacles with those?
If you're in a power wheelchair, you can't put the basket on top of your lap.
Right.
And you can't push them.
Well, you can stand pivot and get into that cart. What's the obstacle with that?
You got to push it.
Right. Okay. And also, you have to kind of abandon your wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't be a safe thing to do, I guess, huh?
No.
Recently, you were in the emergency room. You want to share what happened that day?
I was going up to a convenience store gasoline station and I was going up the ramp and there was a sidewalk going into the door and there's only one entrance and they had a display of water at the time. Now it's antifreeze, but water. And I thought I could squeeze on the sidewalk past the water when the door opens onto the thing. So you have to back out and around. And I went to go in the door and back out and I went over the curb and landed on my side and broke a couple ribs.
And, that's one of the laws that is clearly stated that it says the minimum required widths of exterior accessible routes components, including sidewalks, cannot be reduced by the placement of furniture for outdoor seating or for sale merchandise or otherwise. Similarly, the minimum widths of indoor accessible route components, including corridors and required floor clearance for the operable parts of interior and exterior doors, cannot be reduced by the placement of signs or temperature checking stations. So those laws are all there. What can we do in this new year to make a difference?
Think of people in other shoes. Try to keep things off of the ramps. Try to keep the snow off of the end of the ramp in the middle of the sidewalk.
So those are some things that we could do. We could talk to the store and say, hey, this isn't accessible, or we could carry a shovel and scoop off the end. Our time has run out. It's well run out. But I want to thank you so much for coming today and taking your time. I know you're an early riser, but I'm glad that you were here today. Thanks, Lex.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy. second speaker today is Gerald Stevens, who is being evaluated by Tracy Farrell. Tracy, can you tell us what?
I can, Mr. Toastmaster. Today, Dr. Stevens is giving us a speech on his, as a time where he was a prodigy. His time is 5 to 7 minutes, and he will be discussing one of those instances. I know he's a very assiduous person, and everything he does is he's a fixer. So he'll be telling us how he came to that moment of being a prodigy. Do you know his title?
Oh, hang on. Yes, I do. I have that.
All right, Mr. Toastmaster.
So I have Gerald Stevens, and the title I have is This Is What I Do. Gerald Stevens.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and our guests. I had an epiphany the other day when looking at the requirements for this speech. I have also given this speech for other manuals as well. But what I discovered with my epiphany is I am a mentor in many aspects of my life currently. I have been wanted to be a protege in the past, but in previous speeches, I had mentioned that I have only had role models. I didn't have anybody specific to go to help guide me along the way, typically like a mentor does. I'm a self-starter. I'm very assiduous, as Tracy mentioned, so I appreciate that. Using hard work to basically get by and get ahead to some degree. But my, oh my, wouldn't have been easier to have a mentor. It would have been so much easier in my profession. We'll talk about it a little later. Well, what even is a mentor for those that may not know? A mentor is a guide, a knowledgeable, experienced person full of wisdom, supportive, providing you successful strategies that they may have employed in the past to be successful in their area of work, possibly. Identifying your needs and tailoring feedback. He or she is prepared to assist at any time and right there for you. Well, what is a protege? Well, the mentor works with a protege. And typically, but not always, a protege is inexperienced, possibly new, but they should have some things to help them be a good protege. So they have to be flexible. They should be respectful of the mentor. They should seek guidance. So if they have a problem, they should come to you and say, hey, can you help me with that? They should be open for feedback. That is something that's important as well, because that's what the mentor is going to give them. Some people might be a little confused and wondering, well, isn't that what a coach does? There is some overlap with coaching. According to Toastmasters, coaching is a little more short-term. So they provide a short-term advice for a short-term goal, help you get to this specific goal, whatever it might be. And they give you steps to get there. So that's the difference there. I work at Northeast College of Health Sciences. I have lots of proteges that come in every trimester. I have 23 new ones literally a couple days ago that I'll be working with, which I love doing because I never had a mentor. So I like to mentor these students. It's actually part of my job. So this is what I do. I show them how to improve their chiropractic adjusting techniques, how to be more efficient in their exams, how to talk to people. Some people do not know how to talk to people at all. They just stumble and possibly say the wrong thing. So I have to pull them aside and say, okay, that wasn't the right way. Provide feedback is what I try to do. Clinical pearls. I love it. Some of my students are not good proteges. Some of them don't want to listen at all. They think they know everything. They have no experience, but yet they think they know everything. So sidebar on that. I could talk a long time on that. Some are not respectful, but the majority are. And it is great when they come to you without prompting, asking for advice or improvement. I love that. And I've been doing this 22 years. So I feel like I got a few things to share anyway. And when they seek that, that is rewarding for me. So I enjoy that. What other aspects of my life am I a mentor? I am also involved in chiropractic leadership organizations. Sometimes we have some new leaders. They're willing, they're available, but they're new. So they might not know exactly the way to navigate landmines or the rules, we'll say, and policies and procedures, bylaws, all that stuff. And if I've done it before, or maybe even to set up a meeting or something like we are doing at Toastmasters here, an annual 40th year, maybe someone's done that before and they have some knowledge. I know Katie's been involved with it before, so I know she doesn't need any help from me. Maybe from some other people that are experienced that way. So sometimes one guy named Ray, who all the time is new president in our district, and he called me during his presidency, and I was there for him and I helped him so much to the point where it annoyed my wife when he called. It's like, is that him again? Does he ever leave you alone? I'm like, it's okay. I'm here to help him. So that's what a mentor should be. And they may go on to become board members or even officers or president of the association. It could happen. That's cool when that happens. Well, what about Toastmasters? Toastmasters, we had mentor as well for our new members out there. If you haven't been assigned a mentor yet, you will be, and your mentor will guide you through your Toastmasters journey. You will become, and we see it all the time, a better speaker. You'll be able to communicate better. You will increase your confidence. You'll increase your leadership skills. These are all important things, and it could help you with life and your profession. Our club, AM Lockport, has a ton of experienced speakers. We have a lot of distinguished Toastmasters. That is the highest rank in Toastmasters. Takes a while to get there, a lot of speeches, a lot of practice. Take advantage of these mentors. We have a plethora. I also call on the experienced Toastmasters to provide your knowledge to these new Toastmasters so they can be a sponge and just absorb and improve. And that's kind of part of our goals here. And also, don't forget to have fun. Together, we can be a stronger club. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Our third and final speaker today will be Marty Johnson, who, well, my stupid notes here, is evaluated by Mike Florio. Mike, can you tell us what Marty's going to talk about?
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests, certainly I can. Marty will be speaking from the Pathways Leadership Development portion, planning and implementing. It says 5 to 7, but Marty emailed me here that it's 2 to 3. So Eric, if you're aware, just be aware that it's 2 to 3 minutes.
I am aware.
Awesome. And the name of his speech is "The Road Doesn't End. And if I could, I will go over the project description. The purpose of this project is to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring. So very similar to the previous speech. Marty, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Have you ever been on a road that's a dead end that ends? You probably wonder if you're going to make the right turn in time, or you're going to have to turn around and backtrack and find where you were supposed to turn. Fellow Toastmasters, when we drive to our meetings when they're normally in person at the YMCA. We all drive to the YMCA, towards the YMCA on Snyder Drive. That's one of our roads that ends. What I look at it from the standpoint is an opportunity. When I drive in that parking lot, that road ends, but it's my crossroad. You see, fellow Toastmasters, each one of those parking spots is an opportunity for me, and it could be for you as well. The opportunity for me is one of my final projects towards my DTM in Pathways is a youth leadership program. And I'm here this morning to give a brief on the planning phase of it. And then once the project gets off the ground, I'll report back in a 5 to 7 minute speech with the implementation and how the implementation phase went. So starting with the planning, I just happened to be speaking with someone you all may know, Marian Hannigan, and she informed me that Dr. Kelvin, who is the superintendent here in Lockport at the city school system, may be interested in starting a youth leadership program for youth and minorities. And she seemed very optimistic about it. I feel optimistic about it as well because it basically fell into my lap. And I'm going to be very assiduous with this because it's definitely an opportunity, not only for me, but for the students. So as far as the planning goes, once I get the green light, I need AM Lockport to sponsor the event. It's a very low budget event. It's going to cost less than $60. I need more program manuals for the students and more certificates of completion for the students. And for the age groups, it's 14 to 18-year-olds. It can have a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 25 students. A little more on the planning. Once this gets off the ground and we have liftoff, I'm going to need the venue. I did leave a message with Dr. Kelvin, the superintendent here in Lockport at the school system, and I'm waiting patiently to hear back from him and to communicate more and find out exactly what his thinking is. And I can let him know what we're offering. To help with these tasks, as far as the planning phase go, in this project, the planning and implementing, there was something interesting that resurfaced. You've probably heard of what's called the Gantt chart, G-A-N-T-T chart. It's a chart that's shaped like an L, and on one side are the tasks, and on the horizontal line is a time frame, and it's timetables. And each of those quadrants, if you will, represent a milestone. And my first milestone is getting the program sponsored by AM Lockport. And then once the program's sponsored, then I can set up with the venue and get the ball rolling further. But fellow Toastmasters, I wanted to present that this morning in a multifaceted way, to present the opportunity to AM Lockport and to let you know where I stand with this in the planning phase. And the youth leadership program is definitely something on my journey, on my road that doesn't end. And I'm very excited to see the growth in these students to learn communication and leadership skills. They're going to be our future leaders in the city of Lockport someday. And I look forward to speaking in the near future once the program's implemented. Mr. Toastmaster of the day, back to you.
Thank you. Can I get a timers report on our 3 speakers?
Yes, you may. Fellow Toastmasters and Mr. Toastmaster, Nancy Ferry went over with 15 minutes and 42 seconds. Dr. Stevens at 7 minutes and 7 seconds. And Marty went over time with 5 minutes on the dot. So Dr. Stevens is the only person who made time, so we do not need to vote.
Ah, thank you. I was hoping somebody would make it. I see everybody red lighted. Now, I'll give our evaluators a minute to get their thoughts together, and I'll propose a toast to New Year's resolutions. The sooner we forget them, the sooner we can get on with life as normal. Now. Oh boy, Tracy Farrell has asked to go first because her time's running against her, so I will do that. Tracy Farrell, are you ready to give your evaluation?
I am. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. And thank you, Dr. Stevens, for telling us about your experiences as a protege and a mentor. You came out, you had a great opening, and right away you caught our attention. You were comfortable, you had great vocal variety, and you had fantastic gestures. And then you went on to tell us a little bit about being a protege, and you really went deep into you being a mentor and how it's done, and really a lot of your personal experiences as being a mentor. What I really liked, you gave us some specific examples of the people that you've mentored, how you've done it, and what you thought that they needed in as they were being mentored. And I really liked how you turned it back into Toastmasters and how we all need to have mentors here in Toastmasters. There's so much that we do here that it's kind of hard to keep track if you're new and you don't understand all the aspects about it. If you're really going to challenge yourself, the project was to tell us about you being a protege. And you really started off with, you know, I did everything the hard way. I didn't have somebody to mentor me through all of the experiences and all the leadership positions I've had. And I would have loved to hear a story about, yes, it was hard, and this is how I got through it, and tell us more about that. And also, why is it difficult not to have a mentor? That would have explained a lot more about it. So I thought that would have been something to add on to your speech. But once again, you have so many experiences and you've had so many leadership roles that you are a very fantastic mentor. You're so assiduous and you have so much to teach every one of us here in Toastmasters. So I really loved your speech, and I think you do a great job as being a mentor. We all learned so much from you. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tracy. Now, next, you're doing your best to confuse me with all this. Next, let's go to David Jones, who will be evaluating Nancy Ferry. I think I've got this straight. Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and thank you, Nancy and Lex. I will say, and I'm sure many others will say the same, that's the first time I've seen an interview type of a speech where we have two people playing off each other, but it was a great change of pace and very educational. And I like how you had Lex prepared, ready to go, so we didn't have to wait, so everything ran smoothly. You talked about a variety of challenges for wheelchairs, and instead of just telling us about it, you had Lex actually give us real life experiences, which was kind of painting a picture in our minds of all the issues that wheelchairs have. So I thought that was a great way of doing the interview and kind of educating us. Gave us an awareness of what your sorry, I'm just going through my notes, what your speech provided us with to be observant to the accessibility issues, so that whenever we're going shopping or whatever we're doing, we kind of notice whether they're wheelchair accessible. Personally, here in Charlotte, we have an area director who is in a wheelchair, so we're always aware of where we're having events. We're also aware of the facilities he's going to be visiting as an area director, so it is on my mind. I also know that my personal club is not wheelchair accessible. I don't know if the YMCA is. I'm assuming they are. I believe that's a newer building, but it's just a way of keeping it fresh in our mind. Also, the Lockport public transportation, you kind of made it aware that they do provide wheelchair accessible things, but there's just not enough of them. So I thought overall, all the examples you gave was great. You also quoted the law and the requirement. That, along with Lex's personal stories, gave us, the knowledge of what the real life issues are. Now, the only issue or the only room for improvement I would have, and I know you couldn't cover all issues, but maybe in a future speech, is airplanes. I travel a lot and I always see that they take wheelchairs down first, they put them in the chair, and then they take the wheelchairs out, which means they can't go to the bathroom. And even if they could, they wouldn't fit in the bathroom with a wheelchair. So I wonder about those challenges. You gave us a call to action, which if you see something, say something to a store or a venue, you need to do certain things. So thank you for making us all aware of the wheelchair accessible challenges, compliance, and most importantly, the lack of compliance. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. And now our third evaluator of the day, Mike Florio, who will be evaluating Marty Johnson. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Marty. When I think of the definition of assiduous, it talks about care, methodical, attention to detail, and persistent. And those are the qualities Marty is a DTM that I see already. I mean, what better person to promote the youth leadership program than someone like Marty? His care, as long as I've known Marty, he's got care and he's methodical in what he does. He wouldn't be a DTM if he wasn't. That's the kind of person he is. And his attention to detail has always been there. He's persistent. He works very hard I know his job at Tops and also at being a good Toastmaster. He's held many roles, many leadership roles already. So I think Marty representing our club and mentoring young people is a wonderful thing. And I think, the road dead end, I get what Marty's trying to say there. You're going into you're going into the YMCA, but it doesn't end there. That's really your fresh beginning. And Marty is the person. I think really what Marty ran into today was he ran out of time, and he was a little bit he was here, there, and kind of everywhere, because I think he was trying to get out to everyone how excited he was about the program. I would have liked to have heard more about the Gantt chart. He could have even done more time just explaining the Gantt chart and how that worked. I think Marty could have, even in the beginning of the speech, just said, hey, it's going to be 5 to 7 and given him even more time. I don't know exactly why he went to 2 to 3, but 5 to 7, he would have had plenty of time to get in what he wanted to and even more. But that's fine. 2 to 3 minutes to get the plan started was plenty. And, I thought Marty did a wonderful job. So, Mr. Toastmasters, thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, for the final time today, I will call upon our timer, in his timer duties anyway, to give us the times for our evaluators. How'd they do?
Mr. Toastmaster, all of our evaluators made time. Good. With David Jones at 2:37, Mike Florio at 2:37, and Tracy Farrell at 2:17. So everybody qualifies.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure the ballot will be up there shortly to vote. Now, I deliberately did not prepare a lot of filler today because looking at everything we had to get in, I didn't think it was necessary. And it turns out I think I was fairly right. However, at this point, well, we can let me vote here and get this And get out of my face. There we go. I'm going to create the one big mistake that I made today, and that I failed to introduce our general evaluator. And I'm sure she'll let me know about that, as well she should. Our general evaluator today is Jackie Kenny. Jackie?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Yes, I was waiting patiently, but that's okay. We all do those things once in a while. I thought it was a great meeting today, and certainly talking about resolutions is always interesting this time of year. So I think everybody enjoyed that. Personally, I don't make resolutions because don't need anything else to beat myself up over. I give myself a pass on that. I thought all three of our evaluators did an excellent job this morning. Although I think Tracy's was a whitewash, I'm pretty sure she could have found something that Gerald needed to improve on at least a little bit. I was very interested in the text of the speeches this morning. I heard a lot of good language. I really liked Nancy's concept of doing an interview with her daughter about something that I've had experience with. The world is not set up for people who have any kind of a difference, and no one makes it easy for them. The only criticism I would have made is maybe a little more rehearsal to make the delivery a little more smooth between the two participants in that speech. I think, Marty, you let yourself get carried away and went over time. You probably could have done that excellent presentation within the parameters you gave yourself. So, all in all, excellent meeting. I can keep going and call for reports if you want to. Up to you, Steve.
Sure, go ahead and call reports. That's fine.
Okay. Let's have a report from Carol Ann as our quiz master. What have you got to question us about this morning, Carol Ann?
First of all, would like to ask, what movie poster does Eric have behind him?
James Bond.
Thunderball.
Right. How Phil mentioned that he and Dave get together. How many people get together and how many people bowl?
3 bowl.
2 people get
Seven
together
don't.
and 3 bowlers. Yep.
How fast does Lex's wheelchair go?
7 miles an hour.
per hour.
Right. And what obstacle was she trying to get by when she ended up falling?
Narrow stairway.
Yeah, I think that was mentioned water bottles were piled. And what is the name of Dr. Stevens' workplace?
Oh. Mercy. I can't remember the whole title.
Yeah, I know. It's UB students, and
Yeah, what I heard was the Northeast College of Health Sciences, or Health, yeah, Sciences. Who is our superintendent of schools in Lockport?
Dr. Calvin.
Okay. What was the name of the chart Marty mentioned?
Camp.
Right. And what program is he trying to get together?
Youth leadership.
Right. Very good. Mr. Toastmaster, or Miss General Evaluator.
Thank you, Carol Ann. And Sylvia, how about a report from you this morning?
Okay. Well, I am pretty pleased with the word. I didn't know how the word was gonna do today. So I heard Kate use it. David Jones used it a couple times. Nancy used it. Tracy used it twice. Dr. Gerald Stevens used it. Marty used it. Mike Florio used it. Really great word. I'm glad people incorporate it in their evaluations and speeches. Then the grammar, like I can't do 3 things at once. I'm sorry. I'm getting old. The grammar part, that's not my strong point either, so that's not good. But I did notice the word of the day that everyone has used, ums. I can count more than 12 ums. Even from people that I was surprised to hear them from. Mike Florio had a good word. I like the word awesome. So when people say awesome, it's just a feel good word. I like that. Marty, if you're still on, could you tell us again the word of the grid? I thought that was a good word. I never heard of that. I'm gonna have to look it up. The little squares or something in your grid.
Oh, it's called GNATT. Gantt.
Gantt. Okay.
It's
I never heard of that.
milestones on a chart because they want, ideally they want everything to line up so you don't have your cart before your horse, your cart before your horse, you know. Everything should be lined up.
I like that word.
Timing.
Thank you. Thanks for explaining that. Other than that, I think everyone did a pretty good job, and hopefully next week we'll be in person so I could be a better evaluator than WAG.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. It was challenging this morning. I think because we don't do it that often anymore, it becomes a little more difficult to keep things flowing. And I think that was the biggest problem I saw this morning, was keeping things moving smoothly from speaker to speaker. All right. I think we have some winners to announce. Would you like to take the meeting back over again, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day?
Okay, I saw that post. Our best table topics, I read this right, Phil Russell. Our best evaluator was David Jones. And our best speaker was Gerald Stevens, because he was the only one that qualified. Obviously, we don't have a 50-50 today, so I can't ask him to come up and draw it. So I believe we'll turn it over to Eric to close the meeting out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Wonderful meeting by all today. And Kate, do you have any other announcements before we close, or are you good?
I don't have any more announcements, but we aren't doing a split club in person, but it made me think, I know Margot bought in for the year. Len, did you also? Should we do a split club for 2? Or we'll figure it out?
No, pass it for now.
I haven't
Alrighty.
invested on it.
I'm good. Thank you, Eric.
Yep. Our Toastmaster for next week, I know she went offline, but is Tracy Farrell. And before I hold on, let me take a look to see who our speakers are for next week. Our speakers are Caroline Halstead. I don't know how Dr. Stevens is on again for speaker next week. And Mark Campos, and alternate speaker is Steve Smith. So please confirm your roles to Tracy, and she'll give us a theme for next week. And we like to thank our guest, Lex, Nancy's daughter, for joining us this morning. It was a pleasure to have her. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 8:24. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you all in person next week. Meeting adjourned.